care? Why is this going to be important? Why is this going to fundamentally change the face of the planet and really humanity as a species? And I think some of the answers lie in three trends that I see affecting mobility. So the first is actually a shift from this notion of mobility to more of a focus on access. Second is a move from transportation to really valuing experience. And I think that mobility systems, which today could be considered an imposition on our infrastructure and a plan in our time, are slowly but optimistically moving to live in harmony with them. So let's dive in. I think of mobility today as basically being focused on getting me, the individual, from point A to point B in a way that is most efficient for me. And the shift to access is slightly different. The goal is to get everybody from point A to point B in a way that is most efficient for the system. Take these guys, for instance. What's their problem? They can't drive. How many of you have kids? Show of hands. There's quite a few of you. Once we get autonomous cars and shared autonomous cars, you will never have to drive these guys to school again. You'll never have to drive them to their friend's house. You'll never have to drive them to the sports thing on the weekend. Okay, that gives you a little more time for an espresso in the morning, fine. But there are 120 million school-age kids in Europe alone. 120 million. And in many of those families, one parent either works part-time or can't work at all because they're driving these guys around all the time. So once these technologies come online, suddenly there's a new person that's entering the workforce, being creative and productive as a part of society. Now, if we think of the focus of transportation as the individual, there are some companies that have done a fantastic job of making that experience the best it possibly can be. Congratulations, good job. The problem is that when cars become autonomous, the ultimate driving experience is meaningless, right? What we really want is the ultimate passenger experience. Interestingly, we've actually been here before. So if you think about our great-great-grandparents, they had autonomous vehicles. They were called horses. Go back maybe 150 years, luxury trains. The experience was incredible, well worth the investment in money and time, and often getting from point A to point B was just a happy byproduct, right? Go back to the 1960s, the advent of commercial passenger flight. Same thing there. This plane, as a passenger, was effectively autonomous. I have no idea how to fly it. Also, this is basically car sharing for 747s. The people on board did not own the plane. Interestingly, the experience was a big part of that. How many of you guys know about this? In Los Angeles, there's a thing called the Pan Am experience. People line up, pay substantial amounts of money to spend a few hours reliving what it was like to fly in the 1960s. I find this fascinating. It's fascinating. If I'm a car company, I would actually pay very close attention to this. I think it's a signal, it's a clear signal of just how much people value experience. Now, I suspect that there are some car companies that are in a panic because they're seeing their core value proposition evaporating. And I actually completely disagree with that. Because it's not just about cars anymore. It's about creating a multitude of experiences for your passengers. Now you're designing a workspaces, right? You put one of these inside of the car and you've got a clinic. Suddenly, you're in the healthcare industry. Here's one of my favorite examples. I live in Barcelona. It's Friday night, I've just finished dinner with my family, and we decided tomorrow we want to spend the day in Paris. Great, so we call one of these up, get in the sleeper car, go to sleep, and the next morning, we wake up in Paris. Sure, one of the benefits is I get to visit more places on the weekend, especially somewhere like Europe. But more interestingly, because I went to sleep in one place and woke up in another, I effectively experienced teleportation. Right? I literally moved in space-time while I was unconscious. Okay, let's go deeper. I talked before about mobility as an imposition on our infrastructure, our planet, and also our time. But I'm super optimistic because I'm already seeing this change. Here's a statistic that frankly shocked me the first time I saw it. In a typical city like San Francisco, 50% of the surface area is dedicated to vehicles. Half. But that's changing, because when we have autonomous vehicles, shared vehicles, these go away and turn into these. Apartments and working spaces that are being built today, this is real, in reclaimed parking structures. When street parking is no longer needed, we start to give this real estate back to the city's inhabitants. Now, because the systems are intelligent, the city can actually reconfigure itself on the fly. So a street, for instance, could be optimized for commuting in the morning, so there's good throughput and access. At lunchtime, the vehicles are told to just drive in the middle, so the restaurants spill out into the outside lanes. At night, it's optimized for shipping and delivery. And on the weekend, the cars will say, look, you can't go to that neighborhood, stay away. That entire neighborhood becomes a park. If I look at these trends sort of in aggregate and take a step back, I actually don't see an industry that's about to be violently disrupted, potentially. I actually see an industry that's going to be faced with an explosion of opportunities. Opportunities to imagine and design and engineer and build and market and sell new things, new services, new experiences that today don't even exist. Kind of a Cambrian explosion of possibilities.